Treasure Island. Chapter 6. When the boats went to the shore, I talked to Captain Smollett and Mr. Trelawney. There was no wind at all, so we knew we could not take the ship, even if we wanted to attack the 6 men who stayed on the ship with us. Then we heard that Jim Hawkins was on the island with Silver and his men. We were very worried about him. I decided to take a boat to the shore with another man we could trust, called Hunter. When we reached the island, we walked a little way, and then we found a small fort. It was big enough for about 25 people, and was very well defended. It also had water. Then I heard a shout. I thought that Jim was dead. We ran back to the boat and soon returned to the Hispaniola. I told Captain Smollett and Mr. Trelawney my plan. We quickly put food, medicines, and guns in the boat. At the same time, Captain Smollett and Mr. Trelawney said to Silver's men who were still on the ship, "We have guns. If you try to contact Silver, you will be dead." They looked very surprised. I then took the boat back to the beach with Hunter and another sailor called Joyce. We quickly took everything up to the fort. Then I left Hunter and Joyce in the fort and returned to the Hispaniola. We knew that Silver had more men than us, but we also knew that none of them had guns. We thought that this gave us an advantage. On the Hispaniola, Trelawney helped me to put food and more weapons into the boat. Then we called for Captain Smollett, Red Ruth, and a good sailor called Abraham Gray, and they climbed into the boat with us. Our journey back to the island was more difficult than the others. There were more people and supplies now, so the boat was heavy and very close to the water. We had to be very careful to prevent the boat from sinking. The wind blew from a different direction, too, and we were not moving towards the beach near the fort. "We'll never get to the beach," I said. "We must keep in this direction," said Captain Smollett. "Work hard, be patient, and we will arrive." Then his voice changed. "The cannon!" he called. I looked round and realized that the men we left on the Hispaniola were preparing a cannon. We were moving so slowly that we were not far from the ship. It would be easy for them to hit us. Trelawney stood up with a gun and fired at the pirates, and one of them fell. We heard a cry from the ship, and another from the beach. We saw that the other pirates were getting into their boats. "Go as fast as you can," said Captain Smollett. "If we don't get to the beach, we're finished." "They are only using one boat," I said. "The other men are walking to the beach to wait for us." "It's a long way for them to run," said Captain Smollett. "It's a race to get there first." We moved fast, and the wind was not so strong near the beach. However, Trelawney fired his gun again, which made us all move to one side of the boat. It started to sink, but we were in just 3 feet of water. It was not difficult to walk to the beach, but we had lost many of our supplies in the water, including some of our guns. There were now voices in the trees, and we knew that the pirates were near. We had to get to the fort before the pirates got to the beach. We all ran as fast as possible, and at last we saw the fort in front of us. At the same time, 7 pirates arrived at the other side of it. The pirates looked surprised to see the fort and stopped. This gave us time to fire our guns, and they quickly turned and ran into the trees behind them. Before we could enter the fort, we heard another gun fire, and poor Red Ruth fell down. We quickly picked him up and took him into the fort, But it was too late. He was dead. Trelawney was very sad. Redruth had been a good servant to him. Captain Smollett put up a flag inside the fort and counted the supplies. Then he asked me, "How long will we have to spend on this island?" In England, I told blandly that if we were not back by August, to come and find us, I explained. "We need the supplies that were lost in the sea," said Captain Smollett. "Without them, we have enough supplies until July only." At that moment, we heard gunfire, and the fort was nearly hit. "They can see the flag," said Trelawney. "We should take it down." "No," said Captain Smollett. "We keep the flag. It will show the pirates that we are not frightened of them." The gunfire continued, but it was almost impossible for them to hit anyone inside the fort. Just then, we heard someone calling, "Doctor! Mr. Trelawney! Captain, are you there?" I ran to the door of the fort, and I found Jim Hawkins, safe and alive.